Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Boy, am I excited to introduce you today to our guest. Before I do that, here is a quote just for this episode. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Einstein, Albert Einstein. Our guest today, a friend, the Culture Matters podcast, somebody that I consider one of my advisors. I had the pleasure of meeting them through great friends of the Culture Matters podcast. If you listen to the show, you know the one and only Peter Spergel, the Wizard of Oz, introduces me to our guests, kin, someone I care about deeply that I challenge you to go listen to that episode after this, the one and only Michael Modica. Our guest today is Noah, not just bringing the arc, but bringing the value around compound interest, around advisory. He is a investment advisor representative at the, yes, Pine Valley, not the golf club, but a great firm that helps people build their wealth, helps people build their future. And I should probably say, this isn't financial advice, as our disclaimer. But thanks for coming on the Culture Matters podcast, Noah, and talking all things compound interest with me and Einstein here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. What's up, Jay?
Now, were you thinking about helping people build their success, build their financial security when you were young? Like, did you have posters of coins and dollar signs and a piggy bank and all that young, or did that come later? This idea to be, to serve people like me and our listeners and building
Uh,
their wealth.
of course not. That was never the intention growing up. I was much more simple-minded. I really wanted to be a chef or a farmer. I wanted to build things and, create cooking and whatnot is the creation, building something similar to that. It wasn't really until high school where, after school activity, I joined the stock market investing team.
Wow.
And that was like my first taste into the industry. And then from there, I'm like, oh, this is math. Like you're solving for problems. And that's when I really bought in. And then from there, went on to college, studied accounting and finance, had a little bit more exposure, and fell in love with it.
The stock market investing team. Now, I'm guessing that's where all the attractive women were going and all of the the
It
cool
was
kids are going,
it was
or
basically me and the kids on my golf team back in high school. So
but that
no
was even
women.
available. I'm surprised because not a lot of high schools. I never heard of something like that when I was going to high school.
Yeah, yeah, we were pretty good too. They were good. I was okay.
Do you remember the first class and any of the stocks or securities or
So
conversation?
it wasn't even in class. It was a extracurricular activity, and it was we were playing with fake money. So we competed against. I'm from Delaware, and we competed against other high schools in Delaware, and it was one semester. So what is that? 4 months, and like the second week of school, they gave us $100,000 in fake money, and we got to track every other school's performance, and we had to put on a better portfolio, and whoever won at the end of the semester, I forget what it was, got a
Wow.
scholarship, like $1,000 scholarship or something like that, every member of the team. So yeah, every once a week we meet up after school and talk stocks, talk investments, talk diversification, allocations. And
Wow.
that was really my first taste, and I loved it. We didn't win, but I loved it.
What were some of the early lessons? Like that
Early
could easily
lessons.
be misnomers of, our listeners that think they know stocks, right? They never did something like that.
Yeah, I guess the real first early lesson is the big name is not always the best winner. So I'm trying to think back in high school, everybody had iPhones. We were looking at Apple. Well, that's a winner, but that's volatile if you put all 100 grand into Apple. So the real first lesson was to do the math, do the homework, take the deep dive into the company and see who actually has earnings potential. And that's the key.
Hmm. What were some of those early signs that something had earning potential? What were you looking for?
we were looking for growth, PE ratios. It was tough to say because we were back in high school, so we were learning everything firsthand. We didn't have somebody sitting there telling us this is
Wow.
what you have to look for. It was just us kids meeting together in the cafeteria after school on a laptop. That was it.
Wow.
This was before ChatGPT, so we were going to the library and checking out a book, trying to learn something.
Yeah, what would you say, from experience, some of the, I guess, pitfalls of when people do it on their own without advisors, without helpers, without those that dedicate their life to it? What are some of the common mistakes that you've seen people make,
Uh,
your
the
tenure?
big mistake that I see a lot is emotion, and it's tough to take emotion out of investing because you see it all the time. People are tied to a stock, like, oh, I inherited this from my grandmother. I don't want to sell it. Then in the other breath, they're telling me my goal is extreme growth and something similar to that. And I'm like, well, this stock, it's not a growth stock, but it pays a nice dividend because your grandmother bought it for income. And they have emotion attached to it. So it's
Mm,
tough to take that out. And I see that a lot in everyday investors. And then from us, we're an outside point of view. So we get to see the big picture and say, without emotion, this might be how you want to do it.
mm,
But it's the battle because people are tied to things, and I'm not the guy to say, hey, you need to sell this, even though your grandmother owned it. That's not my job.
mm. Yeah, what role does listening play?
Oh, it plays the biggest role. You learn a lot just by listening. Um, they always say in any job, not my field, but the first one to talk loses. So you sit back, you listen, and people enjoy talking about themselves and their story and whatnot. So you get to listen, you get to learn a lot, and then that kind of dictates where the conversation goes. I'm
Were you
guilty.
always
I love talking about myself.
were you always a good listener, or did you have to learn that? Because I've observed that I think you listen well.
It's tough to say. You always think you're good at it, but then you look back and you're like, ah, maybe I wasn't great. So it's tough to say.
What advice do you have for those that are listening on how to be a better listener that's worked for you? Because I've seen you in meetings and you do observe and you do take a step back and
Yeah, I guess
I think I
the
had to
only
do 800 podcasts before I realized that I wasn't listening well.
guess the only advice I have is take a deep breath. If it's important, it's going to be important in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
You- So take a deep breath, analyze the situation, and then ask away in 5 minutes and 10 minutes tomorrow. If it's important, it still matters.
Now you were at a very large was it Chew I don't know how to say it, but Chube out of school or Chubb or something. It was a very large
Yeah,
insurance
I
company.
started that job. Yeah, right out of college. I was the kid in a rush to get a job. So I spent a year there as a financial analyst, and it was a tough year for me because you watch movies and you think you know what an analyst is. Then you
Yeah.
actually start in the industry and you realize analyst is like a fancy word for saying I send emails. And then after I graduated college in 2019, so then during that first year, COVID hit, and I was living at home. And my mom's a school teacher. My dad was working from home. Everybody else, my other three siblings, came home, and it was a lot working in your bedroom during COVID. And then I was like, I need to go to a job where you can go out into the field and leave the house and whatnot. At home is not for me at all.
What did your mom teach?
Third grade.
I think
Yeah,
I did well in third grade.
I did too. I had my mom show me the ropes. She was helping me with the homework. It's pretty much
Would you
cheating.
say would you say that that was her passion?
I think so. Yeah, she has a similar passion to me. She wants to help. So
Hmm.
that was definitely a passion.
Yeah, do you think that being a teacher or the teacher ethos is important when it comes to the advisor ethos?
Yeah, of course, because everybody, without ever admitting it, everybody wants to learn. So, being a teacher or being the one with the knowledge, people come to you and ask questions. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying I have all the knowledge because I'm asking the guys on my team questions every day. It's just teaching is important.
Why is it important to stay a student?
Stay a student. Personally, I love it. I love learning. I'm trying to learn as much as possible. It's basically why I joined this firm. They set it up so I can learn, I can grow, I can become better. It's not just within work, everything I'm trying to learn.
Wow. What about working with a big company? Were there any things there are things in particular that you took away from that experience that's been helpful in your career now?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first corporate job. So I think it was very important to learn corporate culture, uh, learn a routine, the 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 5, whatever you want to call it. That was very important. How to interact with adults, not other students.
Mm. This quote, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. What does that mean? What to our audience, to our listeners that are building these businesses and trying to create their success? Why is it important to pay attention to compounding?
Uh, I think it's really comes down to patience. Compounding takes patience. Uh, I don't know. Compounding, it's a slow process and it builds on itself, which I guess goes back to teaching and learning. You
Mm.
just continue to build on yourself. And those who disrupt compounding tend to fall behind. I think that was a Buffett quote. Don't disrupt the compounding. I think
Yeah,
he
you're
says it
right.
every year in Nebraska.
I want to change my allocation every week. What's wrong with that scenario?
It takes time. It's all about patience.
But I have a stock, so my friend, hypothetically, my friend at the bar has a stock. He just
Yeah.
won't stop talking about it every Friday. What should my due diligence look like? Should I follow my friend's advice? Now, we're not giving financial advice, but what do you say to the layperson that wants to start investing into the future and they're getting their stock picks from, their buddy at the bar or their, you know, enemy down at the golf club or something?
I I actually like it because you're actually paying attention. And that means you're interested in the financial world, the stocks, the bonds, the investing. You're interested. And I like it because that's the hardest battle is getting interested. And I don't recommend going all in. I would never do that. But it's always nice. Like I get the text all the time from one of my friends. What about this? What about that? And I got one last week. I was like, you know what? I might do this. And I followed him. It's like I have that group chat where we just talk stocks and whatnot. Then I have the other group chat where they send their gambling picks.
Hmm.
I put $10 on the Eagles to win this Sunday. It's like, you know what? I like that. I'm going to tell
No
that.
comment. No comment for you. How about traits of like, let's say the ideal, I'm going to show up as the best client possible, right? Because there's got to be ways that I can easily sabotage my own success as it relates to my retirement planning or my wealth building. If you're speaking to the listeners on how to show up to be the best customer, the best client as it relates to be, that relationship between the advisor and the advisee.
Oh, Jay, you're teeing me up here. This is an easy one. It's communication. That's it. That's the name of the game. It's communication. Um, we always ask our clients to be open with us. Just tell us how you feel. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. Tell us how you feel. Tell us what you're thinking. Um, Anything that we don't know. And in return, we're open with them. uh, this is how you doing. This is what went wrong. This is what went well. This is what we want to change. This is where we want to be. This is where we were. And I mean, it's all communication. Picking up the phone and calling goes a long way
Why?
just to keep it open. And because things change, life comes at you every angle, things change. And we don't know that. We don't know that things change unless we talk about it. Even if it's something as simple as I don't really feel like this anymore. And that's huge because then we have to account for that. And that's all communication.
Hmm. Hmm. What is a bond?
A bond, it's when a company issues debt, they issue it in the form of a bond, and you're able to buy their debt, and then they pay coupon and interest and whatnot.
And what about a stock? I've never. I think I know what it is, but I don't really. That was a great explanation. What about a stock?
A stock is equity in a company. So, Culture Matter podcast has 100% ownership, and they would like to raise some money, so they issue stocks, and then each stock is worth $1 to equal 100%. And if I buy 10 shares for $10, I own 10% of the company.
Are you offering? Is this add a couple more zeros? Let's go.
Hey, I thought you were a private company. If you're public, I'll open it up.
Now you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, just on a personal side, the podcasting world community, right? Like, yeah, we're recording this. Thousands and thousands of people are going to listen to it. Millions will listen to it at some point, uh, God willing. But yeah, what do you think about the podcasting?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think 2024 was the first year where I listened to more podcasts than music.
Whoa, really?
I think so. I think so. My Spotify rap might tell you differently, but I think I listen to more podcasts than music. And I love it because it's the new way to get news. Right now, the 6 minute or 2 minute sound bites that you get from the big news companies like Fox, CNN, NBC, they they don't cut it anymore because there's so much extra that we're missing. And when you have a long range, long form conversation with somebody, you actually get to know people. You get to hear the details, you get to hear the facts, and you get to make your own opinion. I absolutely love podcasts. And there's some really good ones like comedy ones, sports ones that I also tune into to get different takes on things. I walk into work acting like I'm the expert on sports, even though I just listened to it in a podcast. Yeah.
Were you always, because you did some comedy, right? Like in
Yeah.
clubs?
I tried. I tried stand up.
Yeah, where's the synthesis between comedy and finance? It's got to be, I guess, right? I there's like that book Where Are All the Customers' Yachts? I have to just laugh at that, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it all goes back to communication.
We
I
have somebody worked it very deeply. They've been on the show. Actually, just yesterday we released their episode from the New Year's Eve Lollapalooza. The real Brad Lee. He did a bit like they just pulled him out of the audience. Like Keith Yackey had a club or whatever, pulled him up and he did a whole bit. So did you do a bit like that at one point? Like just
Yeah, I did a few 5 minute sets.
what did you
I was
learn about
never
yourself? That's impressive. I don't think I would do it. I don't know if I would do it. I don't
oh, of
know if
course
I
you
would do
would.
it.
You don't have a problem talking to anybody. You would definitely do it.
Well, what did you learn about yourself? I think there's something really powerful there. What did you learn about yourself from doing
Uh,
that? You're
for
talking about getting
starters,
in front of strangers.
yeah, for starters, I learned I'm not that funny. Uh,
Yeah, that's actually funny.
no, I learned I, I learned a lot that not everybody thinks like I do. For starters, I learned that real fast. First set, I'm like, oh, I thought that was hilarious. And then You just learn a lot about yourself, like confidence wise, communication wise, uh, how to carry yourself, because that's a lot of what comedy is. It's confidence, communication, and you have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to walk into the room thinking you are the funniest person. And as long as Dave Chappelle's around, I'm not the funniest person.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was terrified, but I wanted to do it for years. So I finally, if my first set was actually on my birthday, and I had all the confidence in the world because I was feeling good. It was my birthday. You put on something nice, look good, feel good, and you get on up there. I invited some buddies. I think I paid them to laugh, so it was a good
No
time.
way. Now, are your jokes appropriate for the show or was
No,
it
do
okay?
not ask me to tell a
Okay,
joke.
I'm not
I
gonna.
retired. I fully retired.
And can I find this? Can we find this on YouTube or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
You think you'll be doing any finance comedy bits in the future? There's got to be a way to synthesize this. I think it's brilliant.
You might be onto something. I haven't got that far.
Yeah, like we get all okay. So now, but was there anything at all that you learned from putting yourself in that position that you would say would be that has actually made you a better advisor to customers in any way or clients?
Yeah, without a doubt. Uh, I think it's made me a better speaker. I've only done comedy a few times until I retired, and it made me a better speaker because it takes a lot of guts to say certain things on stage, things that don't resonate with everybody. So I learned things about myself that way, and I think it translates into every aspect of life.
Hmm. How about team? Like what would you say has worked from the team dynamic that you bring? Because I get to work with you know Mike, who's been on the show before, and you guys work very deeply together. What would you say is some of the your even if they're not written down, like your core values or how you guys approach things?
Uh, Back to communication. Communication's key. So I'm confident that I could go up to any person here on my team and ask any question. I think today I asked somebody, I said, "Hey man, I got a really stupid question for you. What kind of comforter do you have at home, and do you like it? I'm looking to buy one. I don't know what brand to get. Something as stupid as that." And I'm confident that anybody will give me an honest answer. Anybody here would sit down with me and help. And it ranges from stupid questions like that one or to deep questions like, I have this case, I have this client that's looking to do this, and how do I get there? And then they sit down with me for an hour and go over it step by step. This is what
Mm,
I would do. And it's not even a judge, gavel, jury, it's conversation. So it's like, what are you thinking? What am I thinking? This is what I've done before. This is what I wish I would have done different. What are your thoughts? Because at the end of the day, it would be me talking to the client, so I need to put it into my words. So we're all working together, and that's a big part of the team. I love it.
why?
How do I
Why?
love it? It's tough. It's tough to really put into words. I mean, everybody here is trying to achieve the same thing,
Hmm.
and it's special when you join somewhere like that.
Wow. How important um is planning ahead for like or what advice do you have for our listeners that don't think they're ready? They don't feel ready.
The hardest part about investing is getting started. That's the hardest part. And you see it over and over again. The first question people have is, what is the minimum? What does this take from me? That's the first question. And then as soon as you
Wow.
break it down and say, hey, I'm just going to send you over a piece of paper, you sign it, we'll open the account, and then you fund it when you're ready. Something as simple as that, and making them comfortable.
Hmm. Yeah, what about time versus timing? You ever that adage? It's not
It's time
timing,
in the
but it's
market, not
time in the
timing in
yeah,
the
can you
market.
elaborate on that adage?
Yeah, so believe it or not, if you look at just any index like the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or the Nasdaq, and if you zoom out far enough, they're all positive. They might be down tomorrow, they might be down for the last month or the last quarter or even the last year. But if you zoom out far enough on those charts, they're all positive. So that goes back to compounding.
Hmm.
Time in the market leads to success. I can't tell you what the market's going to do tomorrow, but I can tell you what it's going to do over the next 10 years. There's a very good chance it's positive.
What role do emotions and the relationship between the advisee and the advisor play in the time and the timing conversation?
Um, it's very important because the from the advisor point of view, we're looking at the account. But then from the client's point of view, they're looking at everything, meaning like, for example, taxes. The year just ended, taxes is a big one. Hey, we can't do things until the new tax year because I don't want to take the tax hit for 2024. And unless they tell us that, we're unaware. Because so that goes back to playing both sides. We're looking at it from one point of view, they're looking at it from the other. And then as soon as we talk, sit down, communicate,
Hmm.
hopefully we're on the same team going towards the same goal.
Have you seen smart people make dumb decisions around money?
Yeah, of course. Of
But
course.
why? How is that possible?
I mean, you look at Elon Musk. He bought Twitter for $44 billion. He lost a lot of money on that. Well, so far, I've I have all the faith in the world in him. He's a very smart man. He'll figure it out. But at the time, that was a bad decision. He lost a lot of money. So it's tough to say why they do it. Um, it's tough to say why we do it. I've also made bad decisions, so it's tough to say.
Hmm. Did you have a word for 2024?
2024, a word.
Yeah, or if you didn't, what would it be?
Uh, patience, patience.
Why?
Uh, I'm at that age where I'm starting to realize it takes time, and I'm not the overnight success story. Those are rare, but you go on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, and all you see is the overnight success story, and then you start to realize, oh, if you put your head down and work, you're going to be successful eventually. It takes time. It's just brick by brick, build it up day by day, continue to do the right thing, and the right things will happen to you.
Hmm. Yeah, what would you say are some of your core values, like that you live by, to be the
That I live
best,
by.
advisor to your clients?
Uh, be kind. Be kind. That's very cliche, but I truly believe it. Be nice. You have no idea what everybody's going through. Um, be nice, be patient, listen, bring good energy. Everybody likes a smile.
Hmm. Why did you choose the organization you're with now versus somebody else? There's a advisory on every block. There's
Yeah.
so
So
many that people have a bad that don't have advisors that listen to the show. They've told me, "Oh, I don't need that. I'm a boglehead. I do it on my own." So
so
why'd you pick your company?
so you brought up Mike a few times, and for the listeners, that's my cousin. He's a partner here at the firm. But before this firm, I was actually at a different firm. After Chubb, I wanted to get into the industry, so this other firm, they gave me a chance. I'm beyond grateful for it. They took a leap of faith on me, and I was there for 2 years. And I started having questions about how things were going, um, good, bad, either way. They were going through a merger, so I was just having general questions. And luckily, I have family in the industry, so I called my cousin Mike and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I come in? I just want to talk." I came in, sat right over there, and started firing away questions, question after question after question. And at the end, I said, "What do you think I should do? Give it to me straight." And he goes, "I think you should work here." And I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And then I think the next question was, "How's the culture?" And
Wow, really?
yeah, yeah, I showed up day one in a very nice suit, and they were like, "Hey, you don't need to wear that anymore. We're a little more laid back. Our culture is different, more based on team, uh,
Wow.
kindness, doing the right thing. It's not always about money at the end of the day. Like we're not out here trying to drive the highest profits. We're just trying to do the right thing, and the right things will come to us in turn."
Really?
Yeah,
That's cool. So you asked about culture.
yeah, it did. The
Why?
culture
Why? Why
matters.
did you? Yeah. What? Well, hold on. Wait, I didn't hear you. No.
Yeah, the culture matters.
Yeah. Do you think people are starting to take? I'm in my own vacuum with that. Like, are people actually like when you worked at that big company, for example? Did the younger staff did they care about culture?
Uh, not really. It, I'm sure a lot of them did, but
Like, do you
people,
think that the generation coming up? You said graduated in 2019. Like, are the younger generation, the people graduating, are they caring
I
about
think they
this
care
topic?
more than the older generation. And then a lot of people don't realize that you are the culture. Like people say, "Oh, the culture here is not good." Where you're a part of that. You are the culture. Like it's up to you to make a change, and then
Hmm.
hope other people will follow. Like if you come in one day and buy everybody coffee, guess what? Everybody's in a good mood. You don't even have to buy anything. That's just an example. You bake cookies, everybody's in a good mood. So that's part of the culture. And it's up to you to change it, but it's also up to you to find a culture that fits your experience. I love to eat. So if somebody shows up with cookies, I'm the happiest kid in the office.
That so it reminds me of it's like episode 83 or 78 or 87, something like that. Don Henning. He tells this great story. He went, he became a part of this company, and it wasn't that what you just described. And he was in a pretty high position. It was like president of third party lending. It's a large investment. I'm sorry, it was a large independent mortgage bank before the 2008
Yeah.
bubble. And his wife said, "Well, you be the culture. Like you smile, be yourself, basically." And like he
Yeah.
says
I
it.
love that.
Anybody can go listen to that episode. It's a great 2 hour and 47 minute. It's like it's one of the longer ones.
Yeah.
And it's just jam packed. And Don, he went and he said hi to the security guard at the front. He started smiling like himself and just transformed the whole
It's
the
all
whole
it
place.
takes. It's all it takes.
Wow.
Everybody loves a smile.
Mm. Yeah. What advice would you have on service? For those that are in the professional services, that like what's worked for you and how to build client relationships and you know, like I wanted to have you on the show because so you didn't ask me, I asked you. So what advice if you were to what do you think it is? What advice
Um,
do you have for the professional service, listeners that are trying to excel their career?
yeah, be realistic. That's that's it. Meaning, if you say you're going to do this today, do it today. But if it takes you 2 days to do it, don't say you're going to do it today. Be realistic, be honest, and be open.
I love it. Noah, you're the man. I appreciate you. For
Yeah, of
all
course.
our listeners, they want to connect with you and learn more about how they can involve you on their team You
Yeah.
know, their board of advisors. How could they reach out to you and get to know you better on a personal level? Maybe have you come and do some jokes at their house.
The
I'm
pay
just
has to
kidding.
be right to get me on
I'm
stage.
not very funny either, but you have to laugh on the show. If you're on the show,
Yeah,
you
you
have to
have
laugh
to.
at my jokes.
How to find me? The best way is to go onto our website. That's where you learn about the firm and whatnot. You could view everybody that works here. It's pinevalleyinvestments.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Noah Modica. Um, and uh, we could always drop my number in the show notes if you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
best
what
way to
actually I
find me.
want to ask you this too. Why is for the person that wants to get started and start building their wealth, not just retirement planning, but being more proactive with their finances, why have somebody work with them, regardless of where they're at? What's the value, right? How do we really clarify that? Because and the reason I'm asking that is because I before I got involved and more proactive in that myself, all the books, a lot of books I was reading and YouTube videos I was watching was telling me not only that I could do it myself, but I should. And I came to the conclusion the more that I studied was in my opinion, this is my opinion, didn't make a lot of sense. I need to focus on my core genius, which is the show, which is our consulting and everything. So why should our listeners start interviewing and build a relationship with an advisor, financial advisor?
Um, to make it personal. So YouTube videos are great. I watch YouTube. I've seen you on YouTube. Um,
Somebody's watching.
yeah, I tuned in. So
Thank you.
YouTube videos are great, but they're blanketed statements, meaning like everybody should do this, everybody should do that. And working with an advisor gives you the ability to have a personal touch and know your scenario. And that's where the success comes from. We learn about you, you learn about us, and then we have you in mind when we make decisions. And we always run the decisions by you. We don't do anything without you knowing. We run it by you, get your thoughts, your opinions. I always ask. It works so much better when you ask questions because then I learn what you're thinking.
Mm.
And then from there, it's personalized and built catered to you. The some of the blanketed videos, you always think like, oh, misery loves company, meaning like they're doing this wrong. They want other people to join them, just so they're not alone.
That
So
that's a good point. Like a justification.
yeah, that's I like to think that a lot during some of the videos, but I'm guilty. I love YouTube. Everybody does.
Noah, thanks so much for coming on the show. If you're listening to this, I would go check out Mike Modica, his episode, Peter Spergel, Yuri Mitchell, Chimwanya Osoha, and re-listen to this. Get in touch with Noah. He is exactly who he is on the show in real life. I know because I know him. And that's one of the best things about him. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Please share this with a friend that needs to wake up and start compounding their success. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Thanks, my friend.
Hey, Duran, thanks for having me.
Yeah.